Hello, everybody. Welcome to the National Parents Union Nightly Restorative Check-in. Today is March 1st. Happy March, March 1st, 2021. And I'm so happy that you are with us tonight. I am, as always, your host, Marisol Quevedo Rerucha. I am the very proud wife to Daniel. I am the mother to Camerina, who will be 27 in 10 days. I am the mother to Emilia, who just had her third baby. I am also the mother to Sophia, who is a 10th grader at a local performing arts school. I am the very proud daughter of Irma Castro and Abraham Quevedo, and also very proud stepdaughter to Nancy. I am the niece to Yolanda Castro. Hi, Mayoli. I'm so happy that you're here with us tonight. I love you. I'm also the grandmother to Isabella Luna, who is 4 years old, Cynthia Iliana, who is 11 months old. She turns 1 in 17 days, and to Lorenzo Martin, who was born on February 18th. Hi, Christine. I'm so happy that you're here. And I'm also the granddaughter to Camerina Rodriguez Castro, Alejandro Castro, Francisco Quevedo, and Carmen Bedoya Quevedo. And as always, I introduce myself in that way as a big reminder and also as an invitation. I invite you to either verbally introduce yourself in this way in any room that you enter, but definitely at minimum, walk in space knowing who you are and who you're connected to, and being grounded in those that came before you, those that you are in this life walking shoulder to shoulder with, and those who you know will carry on, and the hope and prayer, right, that they carry on after you. So my invitation is that you ground yourself in your relatives, in your relations, in your ancestors, in your being, in your current relations, and in our future. And so I always start the show in this way as a reminder that this voice and this work in this time is not just about me at all. It's not about me. It's about all of those that have prayed for the work and the impact that we have in this life. So I want to thank you for this time, and thank you for always allowing me this moment of introduction and explanation. So with that, we're going to move into our breathing technique, and we do what is called the 4-7-8 breathing technique. So we inhale for 4 seconds, we hold for 7, and we release for 8. And we do this 4 times. And I guide us by just counting down the time. I have a timer set up, and I count down the time. So we breathe in, inhale for 4, hold for 7, and release for 8. So let's just go ahead and do that. And then I want to share another breathing technique with you. So if you could please put your feet firmly on the ground. And if you'd like to close your eyes, close your eyes. Take a breath in, regular breath out. And inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, release, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, release, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, release, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, release, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thank you for joining me in that breathing technique. I want to share another one with you. And also a reminder, so it was Dr. Anjali who taught me that technique, and we've been doing it since the very beginning of the show. It's been almost a year, I believe. Yeah, it's March. I think she came on the show, I'm tempted to say like March 24th, like towards the end. Maybe it was a little bit later, but it was definitely in March, and she shared that technique with us. There is another technique that I heard recently. Oh, hold on one second. Let me just say hello to Miss Margie Marie. Thank you. So Margie is my one of my official goddaughters. Thank you for the gorgeous in red. It's a family thing. We all can rock the red. But okay, so this other breathing technique, it's called the four square. And so it's a really easy one to remember. You inhale for 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds, you release for 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds, you inhale. So you just do that square. So inhale for 4, hold for 4, release for 4, hold for 4. It's different. That holding after the release is a little difficult for me. I have asthma, and my wheezing comes in my out breath as opposed to my in breath. I don't know why that is. But so the technique can be a little challenging, but it's not in that it's only 4 seconds. So last week, Yahaira had shared that she needed some more techniques, and I just happened upon that one. Again, it's called four square. Inhale 4, hold for 4, release for 4, hold for 4, and then you can just repeat it. If you want to do it 4 times, then do it 4 times. Okay, thank you so much. For being here with us. And as a reminder, if you have not yet become a member of the National Parents Union, please do so. And with that, I'm very excited to bring my guest on. We have been waiting for this conversation. And I am excited. So Miss Isis Spann, if you could please introduce yourself in any way that you like. And I say you can share anything. You want to talk about your family, your work, your non-family, the things that you love, the things that challenge you, the things that you wonder about, whatever feels right with your heart as a way of introduction.
Right. Well, good evening. I got sucked in at the beginning. Every time you do your introduction, I just get so sucked in. And one of the parts that I admire is that you know your lineage so well. I was raised by a single mom, so I only know one side. So every time you do that introduction, I wish that I could name more names. But I am the proud mother of 4, of Nia, Mia, Liara, and Princeton. The proud wife of Terry Spann Jr., proud daughter to Tracy, a sister, a friend, a play cousin, a teacher to so many. And I'm just inspired every day by the lives that I'm able to touch and I'm able to impact and influence. But as I grow and mature in my work, I'm even more inspired by the lives that I will never get to see that I have inspired because of the confidence and the strength that I'm able to now have that I didn't have before. And one thing that Maya Angelou taught me, that she teaches me, because I still listen to her all the time, is that when we show up in the room, very similar to what you were saying, when I show up, people see me, but I know that it's my grandmother and it's my great grandmother, and it's individuals that have poured into my life, and I show up on their behalf. And another thing that she taught me is that you show up for the people that have loved you. I think a lot of times, especially in the era of social media, we get so caught up on the individuals that don't agree with us and have something negative to say about us. But when I show up with everyone that has ever loved me, has ever said a kind word about me. So I love that. I love this space, especially at night when everybody's kind of winding down and it's a time just to be grateful and to reflect. We go through a lot. We go through a lot in a day's time. sometime in an hour's time. So I'm grateful for this space. I'm grateful to be a part of this space tonight. Yeah, that's who I
am. So when you talked about Maya Angelou, like what was coming to me, like you roll deep.
Mm-hmm.
You're deep. And I want to share something with you. And, you know, when you say you were raised by a single mother, like legit, what you're saying is you were raised by your mother, punto final.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's your mother was your mother and your father is what I heard you say.
Right. That figure. Yeah.
So my comadre, my sister, she sent this to me, and it's ancestral mathematics. So in order to be born, you needed 2 parents.
Right.
Okay. Which then you have 4 grandparents, 8 great grandparents, 16 second great grandparents, 32 third great grandparents, 64 fourth great grandparents, 128 sixth great grandparents, 512 seventh great grandparents, 1024 eighth great grandparents, 2048 ninth great grandparents. And I, you know, the way that you just talk about your lineage, and even though not knowing that your father's side, there are still 2048
right
great grandparents that are responsible for not just the meat, the bone, right, and the blood that is you, but also your heart, your spirit, your fight, your love, your pain. And like you know, so when you talked about Maya Angelou, like you show up, like and the people you're representing, like you roll deep,
right,
and you show up deep,
right.
And the honor of that, you know, when you said you're inspired by the lives that you will never see, it's almost choking me up because
and I said we're not gonna cry tonight, Marcel. We're not gonna cry.
It's okay to cry, girl. We have to embrace it. Like, isn't that part of like this evolution of humanity? Is that we embrace our emotions? In joy, in the pain, and I think even just being like having your breath taken away from the awe. Of the fact that they're not just who we are, right? But there were people that prayed for us and worked for us who never touched us.
Right.
Those 2000, 2048, 1001, like all of those, there was work, there was prayer, there was growth for us.
Right.
For us.
Right.
And what you said, and that's the thing that just really got me in my heart, was that you are inspired by those that are coming. And I think because I'm a grandmother, and I have the honor of holding my grandchildren, and being with them, I understand in a very deep level those necks. And because I'm a relatively young grandmother, I'm 40, I'll be 47.
Yeah.
This year, there is a huge possibility that I'm going to see even more generations.
Right. And that's beautiful. And that's beautiful.
And you about how that's what inspires you. So can you just talk a little bit more about that and how that inspires you? And I just want to, so Christina says she loves you.
Hey, Christina. Love you too.
And you know what, that phrase, standing on the prayers of generations, we're standing in it, we're working in it, we're breathing in it. But not only that,
we need it.
We do, but we're also saying those prayers for the ones that are coming after us, like you said, that we will never put our eyes on, we will never see. But I would love for you to talk about how you were inspired by those you will never see.
Yeah. And again, I'm just a Dr. Maya Angelou just fanatic. And she just taught me a lot. Like, she was one of those role models, and I got a chance to meet her through a scholarship that I won. And another thing that she taught me is that your legacy, you don't know what your legacy looks like, because you don't know all of the lives that you have touched. You don't know. And another person that taught me and helped that inspiration behind what I said too was Sharif El-Mekki. At one point in time, he said something to the fact of like, I'm doing this work for the children in their mother's laps, in their mother's bellies, right? So for me, in the early part of my work as an educator, it was just the students in my classroom. And it wasn't until recently that I started to think about the students in my classroom's children. Like, I literally told my 5th graders today, like, what do you want to do so that your child can come to you as a resource? What, like, you're learning these fractions, and I mean, and I took it real deep. I'm like, hey, you're learning these fractions today so that you can make money, so that your children can come to you to get money instead of having to go to a bank, or instead of having to depend on government assistance, or instead of having to go somewhere else. I'm teaching you today so that your children can benefit, or your nieces, your nephews, like whatever, your mother, whomever. But really teaching children of today that their place right now is not just for right now. And I pride myself more as an educator on doing that versus before. Early in my career, it was about state assessments and state testing and scores and report cards. But I really had to practice what I preach. And if I'm really saying, hey, that we need to be about children and not students, and we really have to focus on, okay, this is another human being sitting in front of me right now, not just a student. So I have to I'm responsible. And I think I feel a lot more pressure now because I take my role very seriously. Like, I'm responsible for your life. Like, I have a hand in whether or not you want to be successful and you believe in yourself, or you just gonna go completely left and just not try to do anything. And I think that's why I feel as heavily as I do now, because I literally believe that their lives are in my hands, because it was like that for me. Like, I had so many teachers that were just a driving force in my life, and they really just showed me how amazing I could be. And I knew that if I could do that, then I was making not I don't even want to say making a difference, because that just sounds so cliche, but I was really just grooming and growing these children, because that's what someone did for me. And that makes all the world of a difference when we talk about teaching children, not teaching students, but actually teaching children.
It's reminding me a little bit of that belief, right? And that saying about our kids, that our kids do not come for us, but they come through us.
Right.
The world.
Right.
And I think if you think about both with our children as educators, but also any human being on our path, any human being, regardless of the age, all ages included, like treating them in that way, that there's something that they're sharing, that there's something on this mutual journey.
Right.
And what impact do you want to have on this mutual journey? And also the recognition of how you're impacted, right? Like, who are your greatest teachers? Who have been your greatest teachers? Your children.
Yeah. Yeah.
and in so many ways, the way that you talk about that shift that you made in teaching and the way you view your kids, how, as opposed to just being about kind of those exterior things, and
right.
And really going into like, no, like, this is an investment, this is a generational investment. The first time I held my first granddaughter, I felt my world explode and get super tight at the same time.
Yeah.
And what became very clear to me was that in her was this representation, right, of 4 families, of four grandparents. And I had nothing to do with half. It existed, right? I had nothing to do with 3/4. Because she existed, there was now a bond between us. And there
Right.
was responsibility that I had, not just to my ancestors and my generations and my elders and my children, but to all.
Right.
And it was an understanding that I did not have with my children.
Right.
Because my children, it was so close. It was so, there was so much, and it was so almost a little bit like that exterior piece, right? Like, and I was a younger mom, I was 19. So like all those pieces of wanting to make sure you're doing the right thing and taking all the advice that people are willing to, like all of that kind of stuff. And also, you know, at that time, I did not understand that what I shared, that my children were not for me, right? Like I didn't understand that that their being was really, and my role in their lives was not about my stuff.
Right. Right.
You know, at the time I didn't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that just really, when you said that, it reminded me of that shift that I had. And it's beautiful as an educator to have that shift with your students, with your children, sorry, with your kids, with your babies.
Right.
Beautiful to have that shift and understanding that your work is like, it's so big, but it's so like, okay, because it's so big, it gets super tight. And response, it's very different. It's a very different way of seeing things.
Right.
Because there's no, you know, like there are two fathers of my daughter and two fathers. I have 3 grandbabies. That's my family.
Right.
And whatever, like, so whatever their stuff, whatever their, that's my family.
Right.
And I have a responsibility to, like, I know that she or and they, the kids will be okay if their parents are okay. And I think part of what you're also saying, like with your kids, with your the children in your classroom,
right,
if they're okay, then their kids are there. You know, it's such a. Have you been able to have these conversations with other educators?
Yeah. So last week I actually gave my very first. I led my very first session at one of our school districts' teacher development, or our teacher conference. And the title of my session was "We Teach Children, Not Content." So really, this shift of there are children sitting in front of you that bring in good and they bring in not so good.
Right.
But we have to understand that. And I started with my own children. Like at the beginning of my session, I said, "Hey, these are my 4 children. One of them is special needs. She's conquering cerebral palsy." So I think about that when I teach children that have special needs.
Yeah.
Other daughter is very touchy-feely. She's very clingy. She wants to be all over me. I keep that in mind when I teach the children in my classroom that may be touchy-feely, that may be clingy. One of my other daughters is very, very like sassy, like in your face. You said you were going to do this at this time. You didn't do it. What you doing? So I keep that in mind when there are children in my classroom that behave that way. And then my last son, my last child, he's a boy, but he's boy. He wants to get inside of everything. He wants to plug in everything. He's very hands-on. So I keep that in mind with the children in my classroom that may also be that way. So I wanted to open it up, comparing my children that I gave birth to the children in my classroom, just so that educators can understand that it's very, very important to, when you go inside your classroom, to put that child that's most important to you, whether it's your son, your daughter, your godchild, your grandchild, but put that child in your mind when you're interacting with the children in your classroom. Because how would you want someone to care for your grandchild? How would you want someone to care for your son or daughter? And as educators, a lot of times I think we go in with the lesson ready, but we don't go in with our hearts ready. And that's a big part of it.
It's the heart set. I call it, mindset. It's your mindset and your heart set.
Yeah.
So having a heart for children.
Yeah.
And you know, I think so some of the work that I do around restorative practices and trainings that I do, you know, that's one of the things that I talk about. I love the framework that this is about children and not content.
Mm-hmm.
Like keeping that the humanity,
Mm-hmm.
because that's really what you're talking about.
Right.
Like that, you know, when you see somebody as a human being and when you see them as your child,
Right.
see them and as your grandchild,
Mm-hmm.
you see them with that lens of love,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
then the possibilities in the content, the possibilities for their achievement,
Guidance.
yes, it
Yeah.
changes, it transforms.
Yeah, because they know that you're there for their best.
Mm-hmm.
And their best, and I tell the children in my classroom all the time, your best is not the same best as the person sitting 6 feet away, because we got, you know, COVID, so we 6 feet apart. But your best and their best is not the same. Your best and the best of the person on the computer screen is not the same. And focusing on that best, that particular child in your classroom, even a child in your home. Like, one thing that Toni Morrison taught me is that when you first see a child, like your child, do your eyes light up? And she said she used to pick her child up and she used to talk about how their hair was out of place and how their shirt was untucked. But she had to check herself and say, hey, when my child sees me, he's excited. She's excited just to see me. So don't automatically criticize them when you first see them. Like, make sure that your eyes light up. And oh goodness, that, like, oh, she stepped on my toes so bad, because I was so guilty of, where's your hair bow? Where's your headband that I put? Why your hair stick? As soon as I picked them up, I was so terrible.
That's because of the outside. That's because of that training that we have, right? Like the of other people's perception. Like, you always want your kids to look their best. You want them to behave. You want them to, like, there's that way of being. And I know, especially like in my family culture and in my cultura, like in my culture, that's very important. There's the saying, like, ser educado, which is, like, if you were to translate, it's like education, but no, it's having manners. You know, knowing that your child is clean, that their hair is done. Like, there's a thing because there's a value that we have on that. And that's part of the shift.
Right.
While those things are important, bottom, humanity, connection, do your eyes light up with love? You know, and you think about your baby's joy, acceptance when you see babies.
Right. Yeah.
And the way your heart opens to them.
Right. Yeah.
So what you're pushing in your educational circles, that's how we need to love our children in our seats. The children that are in your classroom.
Yeah. Even before this, especially now because of the pandemic, but even before this, like, I was preaching on engagement. Like, I would have lunch dates with my students, like literally set up a tablecloth in the middle of the cafeteria and have lunch with them and really get to know them, because it is hard. It is a challenge to get to know them in the course of 8 hours when you do have certain standards and certain things that you have to teach. So I didn't really get to know them when I was teaching them. So during lunch, I had to make it my business to say, hey, okay, let me sit down and find out what sports you like and what music you like to listen to, and who's your favorite cartoon. But then I learned too, especially when we talk about culturally responsive teaching, like, those are the surface things.
Right.
So now I have to go deeper and ask, hey, what does unity look like in our country? What is the thing that you're most afraid of? What is the thing that you're most proud of? Like, what do you believe in? Because I thought that learning about their favorite colors and their favorite rap artists, like, I thought I was doing something with that. But it is important. And that part is important.
It's layers, it's connection, it's entry.
Right. It is definitely important. But I think a lot of times we settle just for knowing those little bits of information,
Yeah.
right? And knowing your favorite color and knowing what you believe in and what your values are two different ways for me to engage and for me to push you. Like knowing your favorite color is just like, oh, hey, cool. You like orange? I like orange. But knowing what you believe in and knowing who inspires you, now I can say, hey, you didn't do too well on this test. Would that make your grandmother proud? You didn't do your best on this assignment. Would that make your dad proud? And then it makes them think a little bit deeper past, okay, yeah, we both like to TikTok. Because that's very surface. And I do that and I do it well. However, it's even more important for me, especially teaching kids that are going into middle school, to now value something. Like I need something to be of value and to be of importance to you, because just me teaching you at the end of the day may not be enough. Like, what do you value enough for you to continue pressing on and doing what's best? What's your best potential?
Well, part of what that is it's seeing them. Like that like asking them those questions. It's really seeing, and along with that is acceptance. Along with that, belonging. Along with that is honoring their dignity, right? Like those things that are so important to us, again, as human beings.
Right.
And it's really seeing them as a human being, as opposed to any kind of other, as opposed to like a young person, like you were saying, like a student, like these other labels, like just connecting with them. And again, I'm like it's being reinforced for me again. Like there's this, like we were talking about, there's the outside, the surface piece, right? With those things, I'm sorry, I think it's important to be clean. I do.
Right. Yeah, it is.
I think with somebody, like the food that they love, the thing, I think that stuff, it's important.
It is.
It's a piece. But like really like knowing their soul or like their spirit or knowing the story of their family.
Right.
I mean, like you said, like who the person in their family inspires them or who they connect with, or knowing like that is like, that's the real, like authentic connection. Right. And that builds, and you know, you talk about Toni Morrison, Maya Angelou, like it builds, and I want to get back to something you said earlier, but it builds that sense of self.
Yes.
Because when you're seen, you know, you understand what that is,
right?
What it feels, and it also could potentially help you open the doors to see other people in that way.
Right. Right.
You had shared that when you shared that you're inspired by the lives that you will never see, you said that you feel that way because of your confidence and strength. And that is something that you have developed. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, that's a heavy one for me. It's so heavy for me. Growing up without a dad, and I think a lot of females go through this. Like you feel like, like you kind of have this negative outlook on men. And sometimes some relationships you form just to have that other person. Like they may not be healthy for you, but they told you were cute. So it's kind of like, all right, let's get together. You think I'm attractive. And for so much of my even like teenage and young adult life, like it was always the opinions of not only men, but of others that solidified me and affirmed me as a woman and as a person. And I slowly started to learn how to love myself first, and realize that I wasn't spending enough time with me. Like, I didn't know the importance of spending time with me, getting to know me, having expectations, even in like personal relationships or anything like that. And having just the overall self-esteem to not feel like, oh, I have to look like someone else or sound like someone else or be like someone else. And I noticed that it was kind of like spilling over into like my professional life. And I think a lot of times we think, oh, if I have low self-esteem as a woman, I'll still be okay as a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. But it's not. Like, you're that person. And I realized when I was going into my classroom and I was trying to make my room look like everybody else, and I was trying to make my lessons sound like everybody else, like that low self-esteem as a woman was pouring into the low self-esteem as an educator. And we're not split people. And I think sometimes people think that, oh, I can have it all going on in my career and really suck as a parent, and it's okay. Like, it's not. Like, you're one person. Like, you have one soul, you have one heart. And if everything is not, and you're not going to be 100% in everything, and that's not what I'm saying at all, but you have to have confidence in everything. And for me, I was very confident in being what I thought I should be. And I hope that makes sense. But I was very confident in being what other people thought I should be. And I did it very well. And I wasn't authentic. And it looked like, and people believed that I was very confident because I did it so well. But I really wasn't. Like, I was always thinking, did I say that right? Did I look right? Did I sound right? Are they happy with what I'm doing? And I didn't really understand that I was just making it really, really hard for myself. Because at the end of the day, if I said something wrong, then that person was gone. If I did something wrong, then that person was gone. If I wore the wrong thing, then, oh, I was talked about. So I really had to, and I think when I had my daughters, and I was 21, but when I had them, I had to really understand that I don't want them to feel this way. Like, I don't want them to feel this. I don't want them to even know what it's like to have low self-esteem or to not be confident. So I had to learn how to be a woman. And I had to learn how to be 100% proud of who I was, what I could do, what my gifts were, what my talents were. Because I had to teach them how to be this. And I thank God that they get to see this and they don't get to see that other person, because that other person was a hot mess. So I'm very proud that they get to see me even being loved by my husband, because that's very important for them growing up as well, because I didn't see that there were relationships that I was a part of because I didn't know what it was like, what it looked like to have a healthy relationship. So when you see chaos, you accept chaos because that's all you know. You know, when you see certain things, you accept those things because you don't know what it's like on the other side of those things. So that confidence and that self-esteem I talk about, it's important for me as a human being. It's important for me as a mom, as an educator. It's so important because I honestly believe that you can't teach what you don't know. And if I don't know how to be confident, and if I don't know how to have that self-esteem, then it's impossible for me to teach that to someone else.
You know, I think the way that you talk about it, like the confidence that you had, right? But it wasn't true. It wasn't fully true. Part of that, you said the word authentic. And I think there's also, it's a piece of really knowing yourself. Like, part of that is, do you really know who you are? in the good and the bad?
Mm-hmm.
Know and do you accept
Right.
that you are a human being, which means that you have gifts, you have talents, that if you are somebody that has a strong spiritual self, that there is that the divine lives in you. Do you also accept and understand that being a human being means that you are flawed and that you that you are not but those things can be very hard. And in some cultures, in some family cultures, in some like in some areas of the United States, of the world, like some of those things, those are things, questions that you don't ask and that you don't go through. But really what you're talking about and the way you describe it, it's being very grounded in yourself. Like knowing yourself. Like I know who I am, I know who I'm not. And I know who I am continuing to strive to be. And one of the things you said is that you're glad that your daughters see you the way that you are now. And they didn't have to see that other person. But I just wanted to, I want to give that other person gratitude and love. Because had that Isis not existed, this one could never exist.
Absolutely.
Like she had to be her in order for you to be you.
Right. And it's a testament too. And I think, and it's a testament to God's grace and mercy. Because if you knew that other Isis and you know this one, then I think it shows you who God is. Because some of the things that I experienced and some of the things that I've gone through and I was able to bounce back from, that's all because of the God's grace that I personally believe in. And I do think that of the person, because it is a testimony that you can be broken and you can feel like rejected and you can feel all of these awful things about yourself. But then you can also get to this place where you can share your gifts and your talents and who you are, and you can be worthy of love and you can love someone else. So it's definitely giving gratitude to the person that I was before and the person that I will be in 10, 15 years, because I still have a lot of growing and understanding of myself to do. And I think that we are constantly growing and changing every day. You can get the opportunity to learn something new about yourself. You get the opportunity to meet someone new that teaches you something new. So definitely every stage and every season, I'm thankful for the lessons. I don't think I don't believe that I've lost. I believe that I've just learned how to maneuver through this life. And I'm only going to be 32 this year. So it's not like I've just lived like so many different things, but I think the experience that I have lived, being as young as I am and still being able to internalize it as lessons and not feeling so defeated and complaining and bitter. I'm thankful for that part of myself, because I do see it translated differently in other people's lives that are my age. But I was just never that type of person to just have like a woe is me type attitude. I just really always believed, even if I didn't say it out loud, I always believed that if God allowed it to happen in my life, then it's for a reason. I may not know what that reason is. I don't need to know what it is, but it's at least a lesson that I'll be able to help someone else through. And that's just always how I view things.
That's what gets me through the darkness. Like when life gets real, I very much appreciate the concept of yin and yang, of the good and the bad, because in all of our lives, while there's so much goodness and so many things to be grateful for, there's always something to balance it. There's always balance. And sometimes the balance is really out of whack, right? Like sometimes, when the blessings are good and the like you're just like everything is golden and beautiful, right? But then there's those times on the flip side, and those times seem to go like this. But when it gets real and the struggle gets real, that the understanding that I have and the belief that I have in exactly what you said, that there is a reason and a lesson in the learning.
Yeah.
And that I know that this, I know, and I've known this since I was very young, that, and when I say very young, like teenager, very young,
Right.
I know that it's going to help me help somebody else. I know that this experience isn't just, and the pain and the darkness isn't just about me.
Right.
That I did want to offer you something.
Okay.
Because I know exactly what you're saying, and I like becoming the woman that you want your children to be. And the responsibility of, I'm a mother of women.
Yeah.
You know, my grandson is the first male that has come through me, right?
Yeah.
One of the other things that you had said, who was it that said, was it Sharif, that he does his work, the baby's on your lap, but the baby's in the womb. Well, you know, like our girls are born with their eggs, so we basically carried our grandchildren as well, right? So anyway, but the thing that I want to offer you as a mom, and my daughters, Camerina will be 27, Emilia will be 26 this year, and Sofia will be 16. It's that we do all that we can, but their journey is their journey.
Right.
And their journey includes, and I know you already know this, but their journey is hard. Their journey is going to include their lessons. Right. Their journey is going to include the things that will break our hearts, but we have to let them take their journey.
Right.
And we have to, like, that for me was the hardest lesson that I had to learn, was that my children's journey was apart from mine.
Yeah.
And that, and I needed to allow them the space for their journeys.
Absolutely.
And that is hard. It's super easy to say, but you know, I always describe it almost like being a firefighter. So you're a firefighter who knows how to fight fires. So you tell your family, you teach them about fire safety and evacuation routes and blah, 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 blah. And then you see your children willingly going into a burning building. But it's because it's their work. And it's just, and I'm just going to tell you, my friend, it just gets harder as they get older.
Yeah. I keep them in a bubble. They asked me the other day, they was like, when are we gonna move out? I'm just like, we like 25. I don't know. I don't trust this world.
but I think part of it is, so let me just share with Christina, the struggle will always be real. Yes. What we learn and develop, it will be great, helping them to be resilient. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
And then Ms. Visha, it is girl. Yes, my sister. It is hard.
I'm keeping my babies home.
That's the thing, right? So like Sofia is my last baby, and she is the baby, bien consentida, like she is the precious, and she is, I think, my only child that will more than likely go away to college.
Yeah.
And my old habits are starting to pop up, like my fear, like and I have to really check myself, because I have to trust her.
Right.
I trust her journey. I have to try. I have to release her to live her life.
Right.
And I legit, Isis, I was like, so just so you know, like wherever it is that you're going to school, like mama works so that she can get an apartment there. Like, you know, I was like, we don't like you don't have to come every week, every month. I just want you to know that we're close. Like, that's not okay.
I
have to release, and it is hard. It is very hard. And I want you to know that I'm here for you.
I appreciate that.
Your oldest baby is how old?
My twins are only 9.
Yeah. So your babies are 9, and then your other 2 are how old?
4, and then 2 this weekend.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. So I'm here for you. And you know, there's a lot of us in the mama world that, and I am so blessed to have the mamas and the grandmamas who I know that I can be like, hey, I need some prayer. Because there is nothing in the world like the prayer of a mother.
Yes. it moves mountains, believe me.
No, the prayer of a mother. And Miss Visha here is going to stalk her children. Visha, we got to figure out how to let go.
I don't care. I don't care.
I'm sure. I don't know. I'm talking real big right now because Sophia still she's a sophomore, so we still have 2 years. So I'm talking real big, like I'm gonna let her go. But I'm also starting to put my money aside so that I can buy a little townhouse.
Listen, I'm gonna be the same way. I'm not. Yeah. The way virtual is going, they can just go to college right in the room. They don't even have to.
We gotta let them go. We're gonna work on it. We have time. We got to work on it. Okay, so I never leave enough time for this, so I want to leave ample time. One of the things that I like to do that I've started doing on the show is for us to share 5 things that we are really proud of. And this goes along with some of the work that you're talking about self-esteem, about acknowledging our gifts. So these cannot be things like, I'm so proud of the work that my team did, or I'm so proud that my daughter X, Y. No.
Okay.
5 things that you are doing that you know, that you are impacting or doing in the world. And I want to invite, I see Colleen here. Let me see. I'd love to see your updates on your little. Oh, I think you're talking to Isis. So
yeah, probably talking to me.
Look at Christina.
For future yeah, let's get that started.
Yes. All the yeses. So I'm gonna encourage all of us women that are here watching, and my mom and my aunt are watching also. Type some things in that you are proud of.
Yeah.
Let's do this together so we can celebrate each other. So we're gonna shoot for 5, Isis. Are you ready?
Woo! All right. 5 I'm most proud of. Okay.
Yeah. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
You go first. Start it off. Let's see.
Okay. And Mona, I see that you're on 5 things. Strive for at least 1, but strive for 5 things that you are really proud of. Okay. So I'm going to try not to reuse things because I do this for the show. So let me see. One thing I'm really, really proud of is, I don't remember if I said this or not, but being in a space to really support my daughter right now, who has had her 3rd baby. The 2 youngest are 11 months apart, but also having a community that so that's one thing, being able to make her soup, being able to take her and just even stopping by, what is it that you need? And being able to just do that, to me, I'm really proud of that. Okay. I'm also really proud of the community that I've built and that I've poured in, and I can feel myself getting emotional. But Colleen, who's on here, the night that our grandson was born, she's in Oklahoma, we're in San Diego. She ordered pizza for my family. She sent me some money on Venmo to buy ice cream for the girls.
Oh, yeah.
And another friend of mine, her mom made chicken albondigas soup for my daughter. Mm-hmm. And so to have these relationships that I've poured into and given, coming back for my family, mm-hmm. and taking care of my grandchildren and my children, the honor of that. And I know that happened because you only get what you give, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to count that as an extra, because that one was that's very powerful. Mm-hmm. Something else that I'm proud of is, you know what, Isis, sometimes just getting up every day and just continuing to try.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Yeah.
Just continuing to show up, continuing.
Yeah.
I'm proud of that today. And then number 5, I'm also proud that I have gotten my monies together so that I can pour into my loved ones and send send the other babies in the world that I love, send them some gifts of love. Mm-hmm. That I'm very proud to be able to do that. Yeah. So while next it's yours, Visha says she's proud that she's working on.
Oh, yeah.
Visha, I'm proud of you too, because we need you around, Mama, and our Kennedy needs you.
Yeah.
Look at Christina. You got to talk about what you're proud of for yourself.
Right.
Isis, you can't take this one, Isis. You cannot claim this one. But Christina is proud of you for breaking generational thoughts about single parents and giving back to our community. So yes, but Christina, I want to know what you're proud of for you. Okay, it's on you, Isis. Take it away.
Okay. So one, and this, I'm proud that I'm able to bake homemade goodies for my kiddos. They love my cookies and my cupcakes. I'm proud of that. Because it also gives us time to actually be together in the kitchen. I am proud of the fact that I am not supposed to be here, but I'm here. And fight these tears.
Don't fight them.
I'm proud that I was spoiled with love. I guess that can be 3. Like we didn't have a lot of money, but my grandmother loved me and she taught me a lot of lessons that I hear louder now that she's gone. I'm proud that I get to be a teacher because it's one of the many roles that every year I get to impact somebody new that I never knew before. Like I get to meet a complete stranger and fall in love with them. And I'm proud that I get to be alive. Because there are a lot of people that aren't alive right now. We're in the middle of a pandemic. I've been with a lot of people. So I don't take my life for granted. I'm a Black woman in the South. So I don't take it for granted that I get to be in this space. And I'm doing a lot of things that thousands of people went after the same thing. And I don't take it for granted that I'm selected. And I think before I just used to take it lightly, like when I would win something, I'm just like, oh, but I don't take it for granted that it's giving me an opportunity, whether it's with just one person or with 100 people, it's giving me an opportunity to sow a seed in someone's life. And I don't take that for granted. And I think before I didn't realize, like I was going day in and day out just on autopilot, not realizing like this is my life. Like I don't get to live yesterday again. I'm not going to be able to live the next hour again. Like this is not a movie. Like this is my real life. And I'm leaving a mark right now. Like this video could be played 10 years from now. And it'll be a part of my story, and it'll be a part of someone else's story if I said anything that helped them or they connected with. So those are the things that I'm most proud of, including being on here tonight. And I don't take that for granted. Thank you. And I love just your space. Like even when we first met, we first connected over Lizzo and doing our little dance in the audience. But I just love your space, and I love how you show up. And I'm just glad that I'm honored that I was able to show up with you tonight.
You know, it took us a while because you had been scheduled and you had a family, emergency. I think your aunt passed away, correct?
Yes, my aunt passed from COVID complications. Yeah.
And I know there's so much energy right now in the chat, so I'm going to share some things before we go. Okay. There's a reason why tonight's the night, right? Yeah. There's a reason why this moment is this moment. And Isis, one of my ancestors, Dr. Sharon Grant Henry, she talked about how, and she really taught me that when we connect in this way, we become a part of each other's DNA, when we learn from each other, right? When we share. And you are forever in my DNA. And I feel that, and I know that, and I thank you. I thank you for this time. And I cannot wait to see you in person. Let's hear, I'm so glad that people are sharing. So let me see what Colleen says. Colleen, I am proud to be able to love freely.
That's amazing.
Okay, let's see what Christina. I'm gonna work on you, Christina. I'm gonna work on you.
Yes to the sandwich. Yes to the sandwich.
Yes, make that decision. But I'm gonna work on you, Christina. I'm gonna have you come on the show, and I'm gonna have you do 20 things.
She's a mess.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Colleen. I know we get back emotional. Here she comes. A mess.
Okay, and Mona, I'm proud of letting. So let me just bring that. I'm proud of letting my 19-year-old son get through fixing a car when he did not maintain it. I'm proud of all the postcards I draw horribly and sent to my nieces that are away from home. I'm proud of the bonds I reconnected with my cousins during my aunt's services. I am proud of doing such great classes on Zoom with students that are showing up and participating. I'm proud of my relationship with my younger nephew since we laugh so much together. And I'm proud of being able to send. Ooh, I can't read the rest of it. So I think you're probably going to have to read it on actually in the comments.
Okay.
And Mona was also, she was high-fiving you when you're talking. I get to meet a stranger and teach them. Ooh, yes. Okay, let me see. Okay, Colleen, I'm proud that I can stop my life and give attention to my daughter when she asks for it. Yes. That decision is everything. I think part of what we've talked about today is be present, be what they need. It's not always easy to do, and I'm blessed to have learned how to mom that way. Yes.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Christina, amazing. You are amazing. I'm gonna get you to give me your 5, Christina. Ah, my Visha. I love you, girl. Okay, and Mona, yes. Look, Colleen, oh, yes. So if you're not following Visha Hawkins, you need to follow her and see what R. Kennedy is up to. That little girl has my heart. Here, this is my aunt, one of the loves of my life. I am fortunate and proud of my gift of love and faith. I'm proud of my 2 careers, and so I'm so thankful for many things. Oh, my Yogi, I love you. Isis, thank you for sharing this hour with me. I wouldn't do it any other way.
It flew by.
It does. It absolutely does. So I forgot who I have on the show on Wednesday, but I'll post it. It's going to be somebody fantastic. That's all I know. It's going to be fantastic. So join us on Wednesday. Isis, thank you.
Thank you
so much. We are here. You have a community that is here with you always. And Christina, I'm going to get you to give those 5 things that you're proud of. Have a beautiful night, everybody. Know that you are loved and cared for always. Good night.
Good night.